All right, so raise your hands if you or someone you know has ever been on the receiving end of a Jeff B. email. Okay, usually a question mark, right? Yeah, I've seen those. Haven't been on the receiving end, knock on wood, hope I'm not. But our next speaker not only has received an email from Jeff telling her to keep being a role model, there was no question mark. It was an exclamation point. So she's come up through Amazon's ranks, and not just in her career path. You can find Jackie Cox's music on Amazon Music, but you'll want to search for her by the name she's probably better known by, J Goddess.
Hello, my name is J Goddess. I joined Amazon in 2011 as a customer service representative. At the time, I'd never talked on the phone, and it was quite exciting entering a digital era, actually, and being paid to use my voice. I knew I was interested in the music industry, and I was just putting out my first mixtape, which actually ended up with 20,000 downloads in 2 weeks, and resulted in Slip and Slide Records, the home of Rick Ross, offering me a record deal, which I turned down, and instead stuck with Amazon. I then was actually sitting in the studio of a radio station, 88.1 FM, back in Huntington, West Virginia, and talking about my music, my spirit, and how I love to connect with the community and reach people that I had never spoken to in my life. My grandmother is my namesake. Her name is Jackie, so that's the J and J Goddess. And my dog, I could never go on tour with the label because, of course, they wouldn't let me take her. But shout out to the Wolfpack of Amazon, because I don't have that problem here. So as you can see, I began to continue performing as I was working with the company, and I actually would write songs on my lunch breaks. I still do that. And here I was in Virginia Beach, actually, performing my first mixtape that had those 20,000 downloads. I then had a producer reach out to me to help me put a music video together for a song called Tiffany. And by the end of that, I was in a real studio instead of my spare bedroom in the house I was paying off at 19. That actually resulted in me beginning to take part in freestyle competitions. I had the chance to win a freestyle championship that was judged by 106 & Park champion Big Jig. He's actually done some work with Baby Bash, who used to be really hot back in the 2000s. So as I started to come up in the industry, my mother became a huge support system. She drove me to New York so that I was able to perform at the Apollo Theater with Coast to Coast mixtapes. Here at the bottom, you can see me next to Jack Thriller, who is the comedian of G Unit with 50 Cent. I then was able to headline for Nappy Roots. They're a multi-Grammy nominated group. I've actually got to open for them twice since then, so that was really exciting for me and began to get me even higher in the industry. And so I started working on my first album, put out my first single called Diamonds, which you can find on Amazon.com. That was the first one I dropped. Everyone always knew where I sat at the call center in Huntington because, obviously, I had great decorations. So that year, I actually was holding on to a demo for the album I was working on called The Flight, and putting out an EP with Black Ark Records in England. Little did I know that I would fly in 2016 here to Seattle. And it was for actually a hackathon for an idea that I submitted. And all the while I kept performing, and I performed the week before I flew to Seattle in 2016, not knowing that I then would soon move to Seattle permanently, which I did last year. Now, I actually realized I had a missed call after I got back to West Virginia. And it turns out it was America's Got Talent saying, don't worry about missing our call. We were just making sure you were coming to Richmond. So I found myself taking a trip to Richmond, Virginia, where I then was auditioning for the second callback with America's Got Talent. When I returned home, I was all over the newspaper, and I was signing a licensing agreement with MTV as an independent artist. I was also hosting my own documentary with my producer at the time. He gave me a lot of freedom, and I connected with Missy Elliott. Shout out to Missy Elliott. You'll see my album here was manufactured by Amazon.com. I'm getting ready to put my second album out as well. This is T. Wayne, a very notable rapper in the music industry. And this is a picture I took from my plane trip back home when I came to Seattle. As you can see, I've always been with Habitat for Humanity, staying connected with the community, and I began to get on the news back home about inspiring change in the city I was in that was plagued by addiction and drug abuse, and I found myself actually impacted by that, and today I'm actually still in recovery, so I know what that's like, and I implement that all into my music. But luckily, I'm known for spreading a positive message, and that's truly something I couldn't have done without the freedom to be who I am with Amazon. This is the mayor reaching out to me in Huntington, but I had bigger things to do as I'm here in Seattle. And just last month, Jeff Bezos responded about a song that I wrote for the company. I did an all-hands rap song. And I actually just got added my new song. HR is going to hear this. So it's actually Lifting Heavy Ass Weights. It's a playlist with 20,000 followers on Spotify. I was just added to that a week ago. And here we are. Thank you so much.
Champions, clap your hands all.